bring you this breaking news, a live look as President Trump departs Southern California after attending a Republican National Committee dinner at Trump's golf club in Rancho Palos Verdes.
Yeah, you can see him inside Air Force One right now, joined by a couple people there. He landed at LAX just a few hours ago for the dinner. The Trump administration reportedly saying the president talked about the middle-class tax cuts, border policies, and falling national crime rates.
That's right. Also there for the dinner, Trump supporters and protesters. Our Tom Waite was out there. They lined up outside near the golf club. He is now scheduled to head to Las Vegas, where he'll reportedly deliver a speech on economic relief tomorrow. So again, a very short trip here to Southern California for this dinner at his golf club. And as you can see here, he's going to be heading to Las Vegas next.
Yeah, one of 2 days that he'll spend in California and Nevada. As Juan just mentioned, that he will be heading to Nevada next. But there was some controversy, as we're talking about, with his visit. Not only the protests, but someone was actually arrested over the weekend. Let's go to Mike Rogers at the desk for more on that.
Yeah, you know, Susie, we're looking at the president. He's actually on Marine One, which is the helicopter that just brought him in from Palos Verdes, Rancho Palos Verdes, rather, to LAX. Make that transition onto Air Force One here in a second. But as you pointed out, Suze, we did learn today that a man was actually confronted by plainclothes Secret Service agents there at Trump's golf course after he claimed to be a State Department employee looking for Secretary of State Marco Rubio. That's right. Ended up not being the case. They searched his car and home and found a number of weapons, body armor, concerning notes that are now in the hands of the Secret Service here, and they're investigating that. So far, he's only been charged at a state level, but First Assistant U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley has been discussing the potential that he will be charged at a federal level. What's been interesting about this trip, we've been watching some things on the radar here. So he's on Marine One, or shortly we'll get off Marine One and get onto Air Force One. What we told you earlier when he landed is that he's on that Air Force One, that jet that was gifted to the United States by Qatar, which has been widely controversial in and of itself. But then as we were sitting here monitoring and as we watched the president exit Marine One to board Air Force One, we did notice that the other Air Force One, the plane that he typically uses, that has been used, the Boeing, for several years, is actually currently circling over the Angeles National Forest right now. Took off out of Las Vegas, circling over the Angeles National Forest. It's unclear if it's here just as a contingency in case this plane has an issue and they need to swap or what have you. I can tell you, though, we've seen presidential visits before. That's not something that I recall happening. No. So that was interesting to me to see that the other aircraft, the Boeing, the VC-25A that he usually flies on, or he flew on before the Qatar aircraft, was here in town and took off out of Vegas. So interesting, but it does look like he's going to get on the one that was gifted to the United States, board that aircraft, and as we mentioned, get on a plane and get on that plane rather, and head over to Las Vegas.
And there he is waving, and let's see if he's going to say a few words. Sometimes he does like to go up to the microphones and talk to the media. There's other presidential visits have taken place. If there is a microphone there, let's see if we can hear something. Let's listen.
So we had a very successful event, as you probably know. A lot of good things happened. I have not found out who won the election tonight with Abdul. Who won?
It looks like it's going to it'll be a long night.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. That's what I heard. That's surprising.
The TSA co-chair says that socialists are the new base of the party. Is that true for Democrats?
It could be. I would say so. The communists are the new base. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, don't forget, Abdul was way down a few weeks ago. Now I guess it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a horse race. We're moving along very nicely. We'll find out. We'll know in 48 hours. Well, I just think she was totally wrong. They did a beautiful job. There were a couple of little things, but that was not a big deal. And everybody saw the vandalism. All you have to do is look at the tape. If you look at the tape, plus we have a witness or two witnesses that saw the vandalism. So certainly when there was vandalism, it was actually, in my opinion, it was major vandalism. And I told her I was not happy.
Is she safe? Are you going to keep her in the position?
I haven't made a determination.
Well, socialists prevail for Democrats. Does that hurt Democrats in the midterms, so Republicans keep
What? Does what hurt?
If more socialists keep winning.
Look, they've got a party. It's a mess. I think it's a mess. I think they should form another party, the Communists of America Party. You know? I think they should should have a new party, the Communists of America, and it will do well. It'll get about 10% of the vote.
On the Strait of Hormuz, the active reporting that you might open as soon as tomorrow.
Could happen. Tomorrow or the next day.
Tomorrow,
A lot of progress has been made. And they called me and they said, please, let's talk. They want to talk. The funny thing is they never mention that. They always say, we're not talking. But they called. They wanted to talk. We've been talking. They want to make a deal. They do not want to be hit. This was the biggest hit since World War II, as I said. They did not, and they saw it happening. They saw all the goods being loaded. They saw everything. They knew exactly what was happening. And I think they'd be very smart to make a deal. We'll see what happens. They had a very good day. The negotiations were good. The stock market was up tremendously over the last 3-4 days. We set new records today in the stock market. Yesterday, today. I think it's like 78 times now during a very short period of time. So a lot of good things are happening. The trade numbers are phenomenal. You saw that. Our economic numbers are unbelievable, like never, ever before. The investment into our country is at a number that nobody's ever even imagined. We are doing really well. I'll see you on the plane, okay?
Pat Miller, can you comment on Representative Miller?
All right, you've been listening to President Donald Trump at LAX as he prepares to board Air Force One and head over to Las Vegas after a quick trip here to Southern California. As we've reported, he came to his golf course, the Trump National Golf Course in Rancho Palos Verdes. He is expected to leave and head over to Las Vegas, where he'll attend another campaign event there. We do know that he is just slightly behind schedule here. You heard him, as he often likes to do, come and speak with reporters before he leaves and boards the aircraft there.
President Trump has left his golf club, as you just saw, where he hosted a fundraiser tonight in Rancho Palos Verdes.
Now, his visit comes just days after a man was arrested on the golf course property, allegedly with a weapon in his car, ammo in his pocket, and he's accused of secretly recording security preparations ahead of the president's arrival. We have team coverage of his visit, starting with CBS LA political reporter Tom Waite, who was in Rancho Palos Verdes. Tom, good evening.
And good evening to you, Pat and Ruta Bay. Yes, the president actually talked about the man who potentially targeted him at the golf course over the weekend. We'll have more on that in just a few moments. But as you said, the president departing the golf course here at Rancho Palos Verdes just a few moments ago. Lots of choppers leaving, heading to LAX. Whatever happened this weekend, whatever that may have been, did not appear to disrupt the president's visit. President Trump making a dramatic arrival in Marine One at his golf course in Rancho Palos Verdes. The president only here briefly, holding a dinner fundraiser for the Republican National Committee, and then heading off to Las Vegas for a campaign event. Trump arriving at LAX in the Qatari-gifted Air Force One, which was taken out of service last month after security concerns were raised. Trump was not greeted by any high-profile officials on the tarmac, but there was a crowd of supporters and critics waiting for him as he arrived in Rancho Palos Verdes.
We wanted to support our wonderful president and just let him know that there are people in this country that love him.
His corruption is beyond any measure, beyond anything we've ever seen in this country before.
Ahead of Trump's visit, heightened security at his golf course. Over the weekend, a Downey man was arrested on the property for allegedly secretly recording law enforcement as they made security preparations for the president's arrival. The LA County Sheriff says the suspect was carrying an ammo clip in his pocket and had a loaded gun in his car. The FBI got involved, seizing a cache of weapons at his home over the weekend. Law enforcement did not say there was any direct threat against the president. The incident did not appear to disrupt the president's visit. In a Fox News interview late in the evening, Trump was asked about the potential threat against him and why this could be part of a pattern.
Well, the only thing I get a little solace from is they say only consequential presidents. And I am definitely consequential.
Back in 2025, Governor Newsom met President Trump on the tarmac at LAX as Trump came to survey the fire disaster zones. This time, Newsom was nowhere to be found, posting this on X about the president. He still refuses to deliver the federal wildfire disaster aid he promised to Los Angeles wildfire survivors. Instead, we've watched a presidency defined by corruption, self-dealing, and family enrichment at the expense of the American people. So certainly that bitter feud between President Trump and Governor Newsom continues. We did see a lot of Secret Service here throughout the night. They had snipers, or what appeared to be snipers, on the roof. People just doing all they can to guard the president. He now heads off to Las Vegas for a campaign event there. Reporting live in Rancho Palos Verdes, I'm Tom Waite, CBS LA.
Thank you so much, Tom.